Today is Friday, February 24th, 2012. My name is Ulla Merz and I'm here to interview Richard Convertito, who is a vendor at the Boulder County Farmers Market and the first vendor who was elected to the board. This interview is being recorded for the Maria Rogers Oral History Program as part of the collection recording the history of the Boulder County Farmers Market. I have with me Megan Bowes, who is filming the interview. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to begin today by asking you to give us a short biographical sketch when and where you were born and how you came to Boulder.
I was born in the Northeast in Connecticut. That is where I grew up, and I went to school there, went to college there, and this was back in 1971. I decided I needed some adventure, so I got my Volkswagen bus all ready and drove. I was on my way to California to visit friends, and I stopped to see someone in Colorado who lived actually in Netherlands, and got here. We drove up there at night. I didn't really see anything, and I woke up in the morning and saw the whole divide right there, and I said, I'm not going any further. I'm staying right here. This is heaven.
So, oh, you never made it then to California?
I went there. I eventually went there 6 months later for a week or two, and was so glad to come back.
Oh, and what time of year was that?
That was in the fall. I got here, in October in 1971.
And then did you move to Boulder, or did you stay in Netherlands?
I lived in the mountains, in different parts of the mountains. I bought a cabin in Ward. I'm an old Wardie from the good old days. So I lived there for a while. And actually I moved out of Colorado for a short time. I moved to this community in Tennessee for a little over a year, a farming community. So I learned a lot there, and then just came back to Colorado.
And so where was the farming community?
It was in Tennessee, south of Nashville. Summertown, Tennessee was the town.
And what did they farm?
They farmed everything. At that time, it was a community, an experimental community of close to 800 people.
Oh, really?
On a few thousand acres, building homes, you know, and at the beginning living in buses, you know, and then just building a community. It's still there, and it's doing well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And then you chose the solitude in the mountains
instead. Yes, I was there for many years, until the early 80s when I moved back down to Boulder.
So then what is the name of your business, if I can ask you?
The name is Amaizing Corn Tamales. Yes.
And what do you make?
Tamales. We make pretty much gourmet tamales. They're a little different than your usual northern Mexican tamale. We don't use any lard. They're a softer tamale made mostly of pureed sweet corn. We first learned of these in visiting Tucson, Arizona, where these are the Tucson type of tamale. So we love them, and at that time we had a little bakery business going in Boulder.
Oh, and what was that called?
MROHP Bread Company back then. And we added tamales to our list of products, and eventually phased out the bakery because the tamales were more fun, more profitable, and decided to go with that.
So what kind of tamales do you make? Is there, when you go in to a restaurant, what choices do you have?
Our tamales are, we have vegan tamales. All our tamales are gluten-free. We They're all a little larger than a regular tamale and hand-tied. We have spicy pork tamales, mild chicken tamales, plain corn tamales, spinach and corn, bean and corn, cheese and corn, and a few others. We make breakfast burritos for the Saturday morning markets.
Yeah, so then how did you get started in the Boulder County Farmers? Did you sell your tamales there, or did you sell something else?
It was either the second or third year of the market. At the time when we were on 13th Street, but the cars and customers would just drive down the street. We were just on the side of the street. So just went to the market and looked around and thought that I wonder if we could actually sell our tamales here, if that would be something good for them and for us. So we talked to Farmer John, and
so that is John Ellis, right?
John Ellis,
yes.
We affectionately refer to as Farmer John. And we talked to the board, and we started with a card table, a cooler of frozen tamales, and a couple of pots of warmed up tamales that we just took from our commercial kitchen, which is only a mile or two away, and brought them. And was the size of our stand at the beginning. So
it sounds like it was pretty straightforward to become a vendor at that time. So you said that was in 1989 about, or?
Yeah.
And so did you sell then on the main street then, and the food court didn't exist?
There was no food court. At that time they had a food booth which was run by the market themselves, and they bought wholesale bread and resold it and different items like that.
Were there any other vendors in addition to
we were
your
the first
Amaizing?
one, and then I remember, well, actually what happened was we were there for a year or two, and then the board decided they didn't want any food vendors. So what we did was supplied our tamales to the food stand.
Oh, the one
they sold them. That lasted for a year or two. Then they decided that the income from food vendors was pretty nice, so they decided to bring in food vendors, and they asked us to be back to sell our tamales ourselves there. And I think Lodicio came in for a year at that time.
What did they sell?
And they had pizza.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a Mexican type food truck too, who sold burritos. And that's all I remember that first year when they brought food vendors back in. And then each year after that, they'd add a couple.
So did customers already come to buy it then in the morning for breakfast, or was it more of a lunch?
Both.
Both?
Both evenly, I'd say, yes. Yeah. We kept pretty busy through the whole day.
We're back to our interview with Richard Convertito. So we talked about the number of vendors at the beginning of the market. So also we can talk about, so you said at that time they brought vendors back. How has it changed with respect to the rules and regulations for vendors coming into the market? Or is it still the same?
Has it changed? Well, it's developed and got more detailed. I think the directors and of the market and everything have more covered all the potential problems and details and over the years, they have just made that more concise. So.
So do they have to apply now?
Oh, okay. Everyone has to reapply every year, and they will send you an acceptance or rejection. After that, at first, beginning of the year, we have to reapply. There are many other new people who apply, and if there is room, they might pick one or two, or they might not pick any for the year,
So how many vendors, you said there were 3 at the beginning, how many vendors do you think there are at the market now? You have an idea?
Gobs. We have all different type of vendors now, food vendors. We have hot food vendors, we have bakeries, we have bottled oil,
All right, yeah.
dressings. We have so many different kinds of food vendors now.
So then what classifies actually a vendor versus a farmer?
What classifies it is you have to grow your own product, okay? First of all, to be a farmer. Or say, for an example, say in the case of cheese, a company making cheese, if they were classified as a farmer there, they would have to be producing their own milk.
All right.
So they aren't buying a product and turning it into cheese, like we buy our corn, etc., and turn it into tamales. They'd have to grow their milk. Yeah.
Okay. So do you sell your tamales at any other farmers markets?
Yes, we do. We sell them down at the Cherry Creek Farmers Market down there.
In any other Boulder County Farmers Market?
Longmont. We've been there since the first day of a Longmont.
Oh, do you remember when that was?
I don't. I don't know how long it's been there. 8 years, maybe, something like that. Yeah. So possibly we were the first vendor there, also. Yeah.
And do you come also to the Wednesday market?
Oh yes, we've always been at the Wednesdays. The Wednesdays have changed hours. They used to be in the morning. They start off in the morning. Then they went to the mid-afternoon, early afternoon and then they went to the evenings, like 4 to 8 they are now. I remember the first year we did 4 to 8. It was very, very slow.
The late afternoon
late
from 4 to
afternoons
noon.
like they are now. It took a little while to catch on, but it certainly did.
Is it better now for you, the 4 to 8?
Oh yeah. Some years though, depending on our weather pattern, we have rain every Wednesday afternoon, which was kind of like last year. But weather permitting, Wednesdays are very good. Yes.
So yeah, actually I thought about that. I mean, what does it mean to you as you are serving hot food, which is a lot more complicated, versus putting out your produce, right? When it rains, or it's really cold, or it's really hot. So what is that like?
Well, there's a variable there. If it's really pouring, you just need to pack up and go. But that doesn't really happen that often. Usually, even a steady rain will get enough customers. And there's also wet, cold farmers to feed too. So we like to stay there for that.
That's right. Now that you mention it, for many farmers at the market, you are the go-to person first thing in the morning after they set up, right? They come for the breakfast burrito.
That's pretty true, yes. Yeah.
So have you actually also served when it was snowing? Or?
Oh yes, we served in tromping through 3 feet of snow, and clear out a space and and set up, you know. I remember those days, and they were fun. Not too profitable, but they were kind of fun. You know?
So what's...
There's also a thing of, you know, if the weather is not very good, there's going to be less food vendors there. So instead of 8 hot food vendors, there may be 2 or 3. So it doesn't work out. It works out pretty well that way.
Oh, right. And you found customers still come and buy.
Right. There are dedicated farmers market customers. They're there every single week, you know.
Would they also be able to actually buy something to take home with them?
Yeah, we sell our tamales cold, fresh and cold, by 6-pack or however you want to buy them. I'd say a third of our sales are probably cold tamales. Yes.
So, as we talked about the different markets you are going to, and that sounds like you're going to 4 markets a week at the peak of the season.
Actually, we do Wednesday in Cherry Creek
As
also.
well. So
We used to do Evergreen also on Tuesdays, but we phased that out.
wow. So how many tamales are you making?
Oh gosh, during the height of the season, plus we do wholesale to Whole Foods and Vitamin Cottage and a few other stores. So, you know, it could make maybe, during the height of the season, 4,000 tamales a week or more. Yeah.
So when do you start making these tamales and to be ready for the market?
Well, you know, we're selling on Wednesday and Saturday. So we pretty much start our tamale making on 4 or 5 days a week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and have like 3 or 4 people making tamales during those days for maybe an 8-hour session, and they get them all done. A great crew, yeah. They've been with me for years.
So which market do you go to? Or do you go to all of them?
I don't go to Denver. I have that taken care of me. I'm not a Denver fan in the first place. And on Saturdays I set up in Boulder. I'm there for a little while. Then I go to Longmont for a couple hours, and then I come back to Boulder.
Oh, so you do it both?
I do both. Yes.
So, also thought to kind of have you talk about how you have probably a certain system to get ready for the market. As I think every vendor, or actually farmer as well, has it. So when do you get started to get ready for a market?
For setup?
Yeah. Yes.
I'd say Friday afternoon. I'm setting up for 3 markets on Saturday, so I get all the dry goods, napkins, plates, etc., all that stuff, utensils, cooking utensils, and each part of the, like, Boulder has a table. I put all the boxes and everything there, and Longmont, and I have everything all set up, and have all the tamales are in coolers in the walk-in already. And so when everything's set up like that, it's probably 9 o'clock at night, and I go home, get up at 4, get to the kitchen by 5, and then shortly after that, my Denver crew comes in, Boulder crew comes in, the Longmont crew comes in. We fill the vehicles up with everything they need, and by 5:45 we're off.
So then how long does it take you to set up at the market?
It takes, let's say, we're pretty much set up, but the food's not warm yet, by 7.
That's an hour before the market starts.
7:15. But because then, while that's happening, we have our breakfast burritos warming up in our ovens at the commercial kitchen. So we go back to the kitchen, pick up the burritos, all nice and warm. Just
Oh, really?
piping hot, warm, and we're there before 8.
So you actually make 2 trips then?
Yeah,
to
we
the
make 2 trips for Boulder. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So where is actually your commercial kitchen?
It's over on 47th Street near Pearl, so it's just a
Yeah, so
few minutes
yes.
back and forth. It's not bad.
So I also thought, well, do you have any special experience or memories of selling your tamales?
I can't think of anything in particular. Just overall, I've made a lot of good friends from customers that I've known and became friends with over the years, and I really cherish that a lot. And there's also so many customers that we've had over the years that it's just great to see every Saturday, and converse with them. It's really the market is kind of, in a way, it's kind of like show business. You're there, it's 8 o'clock, ta-da, you're on. And it's ready, you're ready to go, and it's a show. And it's a back and forth show with your customers too. So I really, really enjoyed that.
Right, the interaction.
Yes.
So yeah, I also thought Boulder Market has a lot of dogs that has been on and off, been talked about. So have you ever had a dog that has helped him or himself to a meal?
We've had them jump up on the counter and grab stuff, yes. They also, people have them on long leashes and they just go onto the table and they're under our feet. And I haven't had any real problems with dogs looking to do what they do.
Oh, I see.
But other vendors have had problems.
Oh, really?
It's specific, but
But they also enjoyed some tamales, huh?
yeah.
Yes. So, with respect to selling your tamales, has the taste changed of customers over the years?
Well, for many years we just had vegetarian tamales. And then we decided to add our chicken tamales.
Oh, you first sold the vegetarian. Was that
More than maybe at least 12 years. And then we added the chicken ones and then the pork ones. And the pork ones are our best sellers by far.
Oh, is that the most popular now?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I just remember too, do you have different sauces that go on it?
Yeah, we have our own green chili, Warner green chili, mild or spicy, that we can add on there. Plus we have a whole big array of hot sauces. 12 or 15 different varieties that people can try and play with too. We also have pinto beans on the side, quinoa on the side, so you can make a whole meal out of that.
So what is your favorite tamale?
I like the corn and spinach ones myself.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So they're it's vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like those.
So you said you really enjoyed talking with the customers at the market.
Yes.
So what is it that keeps you coming back there to the market? You've then been at the market, since '89 then, and you're still going, right?
Yeah, right. Yes,
Right.
Yes. Yeah. As long as I physically can, I'll still be doing it. Yeah.
So then actually something that I think also maybe, I don't know, means more to you than to the farmers. The Boulder Farmers Market is a zero waste zone. So it hasn't been that way all the time. Do you remember when that was started?
Maybe six years ago, something like that.
Oh, really?
Give or take, yeah. Yeah. And it's a good thing, you know. It's a little more costly for us.
Oh, so what did it
Sure.
mean to you? So,
It meant to me that we can contribute and have not people throwing away plastic into the landfill. But we also have to consider that we're buying 1,000 forks for $8, and now we're buying 1,000 forks for $39. So, you know, but it's worth it.
so you had to buy different utensils.
Right, mainly forks and spoons and that kind of stuff. The other stuff was very compostable paper products.
To begin with.
Yes, yeah, so they always worked.
So is it difficult to source, right, the compostable utensils?
The market has sourced them for us.
Oh, all right.
Right. We have other options too, if we like. They just have to meet a certain standard. And actually, forks and spoons and everything the market has for us, we just buy them from the market. Yeah. So it's not a problem obtaining our compostable items at all.
Yeah, so I remember too that actually I think either the rules were tightened or the rules changed for vendors. And you lived through all of that before I think the health department tightened its rules.
The health, yes, I remember that very well. I mean, they came around at the beginning, you know, and you know, would tell us what we needed to do, or we were doing it fine or whatever. But then the state wanted a more conformed thing. Since farmers markets were getting so popular, they wanted a certain set of rules to be followed. And you know, for example, not having coolers anymore, having electrified coolers, you know. And so that was hard, that first year, transferring through from our old setup to our new standards, everything NFC, which is professional equipment, all the way through. So we had to spend a lot of money that first year.
So what did you have to?
Standard.
Yeah, what did you have to buy? Do you remember?
We had to buy new stoves. We had a big new, professional freezer, which you had to roll in and out.
So, you bring a freezer in and out?
Actually, the farmers market has a storage area.
Oh, all right.
And it's pretty much those things are kept there.
Oh, so you keep a freezer in the storage area, and I remember that's right below the Contemporary Art Museum, right?
As one story though is that when we were making this transition, I was on the board at that time too, and they sent certain representatives from the farmers market had to go to the county board of health. And they sat us down and said, "This is what you're going to have to do." And he says, "You're all going to have food trucks, even if you rent them, in a circle, and you're going to have to go get your food from the food trucks and serve it."
Oh, like a food, almost like a restaurant, so that you had to go to a table to serve the customer?
No, we didn't have to serve the customer, but all our food had to be in these supposedly theoretical
commercial food trucks.
Rather than the stands that we saw.
Oh, a tent, right, and tables.
They knew, and we knew that it was an impossible feat what they were saying. They just wanted to start off the conversation. So, in response to that, I stood up and said, "So you want us to put square pegs into round holes?" And they kind of sheepishly went like that. And I said, "Okay, let's see what we can do practically and to keep it safe and the standards of quality." and what we actually can do, you know, section by section. So it took a while, but we back and forth, and I think we got down to a workable situation.
Yeah, they were ahead of their times. Right now we have street food trucks, right? So
Yes, yeah.
that roll and come on wheels,
Right.
Right.
Yes.
That would be a lot fewer food trucks compared to tents.
Right.
Do you remember how long it took to iron out all these details?
Took it, well, you can say it took about a half a year to iron out the main details, but then took another year to new specifics would come up.
So it's more than a season.
Yeah,
Yes. So did you have any help from the board or from the market manager?
Oh yes. At that time, Sally was the market manager, and she was with us at every meeting with the Board of Health, and we spent many hours working together and trying to flesh out the whole procedure.
Yeah, you did an excellent job because it's a huge success, right?
It seems like it is. I'm proud of it.
So I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
So also I think when I talked to you a while back, you mentioned, right, and we mentioned you were on the board. So do you remember when you started to serve on the board and when you were elected?
Not exactly. I was on the board 2 different times.
Oh, and you had a break in between?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Once for a 3-year period and once for just a year.
Uh-huh.
So it was about good 11 years ago that I had that 3-year stint, and then just a few years back I was on for a year.
So, did you serve on any committees during the time, or what were you involved with?
I was a treasurer for that 1 year that the last year I served.
Oh, you were, so
Yeah,
just most recently, and you're smiling, so what I...
It was like, whoa, it's over. It was a lot of work. I really appreciate all the work the board of directors do, because it takes up a lot of their time and a lot of brain power to work all that out.
So what is involved in being the treasurer?
I really don't want to forget about it, but basically you'd have to give a treasure every month. You'd have a treasurer's report and how we were doing, what we made, what we put out, how sales were in comparison to last year, and pretty much different things like that.
So it's a lot of reporting. Are you also involved in entering the information?
No.
So there's a bookkeeper?
There's a bookkeeper. Yes.
But so you basically have to review the numbers and prepare them for the board.
Right. Yeah.
So at the first stint, because I think it was quite a monumental accomplishment that you were elected to the board. As prior to that, I don't think there were any vendors on the board.
No.
So do you want to talk a little more about that?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Since we're on the board, but we're not voting as far as the membership, the farmers. Vendors do not vote.
At the annual meeting you're talking about, or
yes, the annual meeting.
I forgot that vendors don't have a vote.
Right, because the farmers are actually all owners of the market, and we are more like employees of the market.
But then, when you're on the board and a member of the board, you do have a vote.
I do have a vote for board decisions. Yes, that's right. And Well, you know, as you know, they have the board elections at the annual meeting each year, and I've pretty much been catering the annual meeting for many years. I don't know how many, but many, 12 maybe.
So yeah, just to kind of add to that what it means, catering, we all get lunch served, actually breakfast and
You get
lunch.
breakfast now
and lunch,
also,
yes,
yes.
yes. So it's very nice. So the reason to
you.
come to the annual meeting, and I always, that's the
an
best
incentive.
part, right?
Yeah.
Have
So,
amazing tamales.
I guess that one year when we were having our meeting, someone nominated me, you know, while I was busy, you know, serving food, and I accepted the nomination, and I was voted in. So that's how that happened.
So were there any, I mean, big decisions or issues that were addressed while you were on the board during that first stint or period?
I'm sure there were many, but
Is there anything that comes to your mind?
well, the main thing was like opening up on Wednesdays.
Oh, you were
You
there?
know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, opening up on Wednesdays and trying that out, and then changing the hours on Wednesdays to see how what would work better.
So do you remember why they wanted to change the hours?
Well, it was just first we tried we'll get the people who work in downtown for lunch. They would come there and buy produce and have lunch there, and we thought maybe that would work out. But if people are coming from the offices, they're not going to really want to buy produce and keep it in their office until they go home at night, you know. So the sales were just not that great on our Wednesday morning, early afternoons.
Uh-huh.
So we decided to change it to 4 o'clock on Wednesdays
As the start time.
as the start time. And it took a couple of years for people to get used to it, because it was pretty slow for the year or two, but we felt like it was growing and it had a better potential than the earlier time for the market. So then we decided to put beer and wine into the farmers market for dinner and to serve that.
Yes.
And I think sales more than doubled that year.
Oh, really? For the
Really.
food vendors?
From the food
That is
vendors,
interesting,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It, you know, and
So
it
what
worked
do you
out.
think that the reason is that
It was a more social atmosphere. People would say, come down and we'll meet you at the farmer's market. You know, we'll go and buy our produce for the rest of the week, and then we'll have dinner and have a glass of wine or a glass of beer, you know. And also, besides that, it became a family affair to come down to the market after work with the kids, all have dinner there at a reasonable price, see their friends, listen to music, and shop for produce. So I think it fit into our customers' daily schedule a lot more nicely. So you see a lot of families on Wednesday for dinner. Yes. Yeah.
So is there anything else you remember? So you said, right, in addition to the Wednesday market?
No, there's just like a specific, and I can't say tell you what they were specifically. Just different rules and regulations about what you can sell and what farmers were bringing in that wasn't, it just kept fine tuning everything. I can't think of anything major and specific. I'm sure there was.
Yeah, I think what I remember right around the same time as the Wednesday market was established, that all the health department issues, more and more products came online in addition to the produce.
Yes.
Is there anything that you remember specifically of new products that were introduced?
You mean as far as farmers selling
Yes,
products?
yes.
Well, it had to be kind of policed, because if a farmer was making a product, they would have to grow the ingredients pretty much,
Right.
grow 50% of the ingredients, something like that. And some of the farmers weren't exactly doing that. Most of them were, of course, but you had to go through one by one and make sure that was the case, that they were growing. Say if they're making salsa and selling the salsa, they had to grow the tomatoes, for the most part. Maybe they didn't have to grow one of the herbs in there or the salt, but pretty much a certain percentage they had to grow. So because the farmers are paying 5%, and of that 3.5% approximately, the market pays their sales tax in. So the farmers are paying 1.5% to the market as their rent or whatever. So if you're selling a product, if you're selling, say, salsa, they want to make sure that you're acting as a farmer in that, and that those are your tomatoes that are in there. Otherwise, that would be a vendor product.
And what are your fees at the market?
Our fees are 15%, plus we pay our own taxes, own sales tax, which is 8.5%, a little over 8.5%. So we're paying, add that up, is 23 something percent of our, and we don't add our tax on to the bill. Say our tamales are $3, the customer gives us $3, and out of that the tax comes out from us. So right off the top there's 23.5%.
It's not yours, yeah, at the end of the day. So I think I asked you a little bit about that before, that as you've been at the market since 1989, what makes you come back every season, as now you mentioned earlier that 6 weeks from now it will start again?
Because the farmers market is a community. It's a community of people endeavoring to promote farming in Boulder County. And I strongly feel like a part of that community. It's a very fulfilling part of my socialization. So it's a big family, I'm very close with many of the farmers there and vendors too, We're really happy to see each other, at when we all come back, it's a homecoming, So I think that's definitely the greatest part of it. It's a community, and we're making improvements in the community. We're feeding people and selling people good food, local food. So I think the farmers market is doing a great service, and we're doing it as a community, especially since the farmers own this. This is not a private farmers market, say like Cherry Creek is. The farmers are making the decisions, they're working, and through their combined efforts together, they've made a beautiful creation. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm so happy to be part of it.
Oh, it sounds great. Yes, you can be proud of it, being part of it and having contributed to it through all these years. Is there anything that, well, let's see here, what else do I want to So any highlights of the development and growth of the market, as you have seen it, right? You said at the beginning you were happy when you made $100 or $200 a day, and I think this has really changed, right, over the years.
Yes.
So, so what do you, right, do you remember kind of certain points in the market that really contributed to the growth of the market?
I believe that I go over our sales through the years. It was just a gradual step up each year. Each year we go up, say, 10 to 20% every year. Mm-hmm. So after 20-something years, it works out.
Yeah. Actually, any business would be extremely proud.
Right. It's right now. I mean, we're having a recession. That's affected some. Plus, we have, I would say, an overabundance of vendors.
Oh, at the market.
And we're definitely not increasing. I think this is the first year we decreased slightly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Much of it due to the rain on Wednesdays.
Yes, last season it was very.
Longmont, it was our biggest increase this year in Longmont. So I think a lot of our Boulder customers who live, say, in Gun Barrel or Longmont go to Longmont now. You know, Longmont's kind of like the Boulder market 12 years ago. You know, about that size. There's plenty of room. Plenty of parking. So we have the Boulder County Farmers Market has both, and choose kind of different ambiances, shall we say. So they're both enjoyable.
Yeah, I just thought of again the Longmont market, no shade, right?
No shade. That's true. You have to make your own shade and position your tents correctly. But there isn't much shade. I guess we've had shade on the on 13th Street all the time.
Yes.
But the food court. I remember when the trees were this tall, and now they're giant mature trees giving us shade. But we didn't have shade
to begin
when we
with.
first started on the food court.
Wow, yeah, so that's through the trees you can also see for how many years the market has been there, right?
Yes.
Right. And now just to go back to Longmont, it has now a food court as well, right?
Yes.
So all the food vendors are together.
Yes. Yes.
So what do you think are some of the important factors that make the Boulder Farmers Market successful?
Let's see. Well, it's a concern, especially for the type of people we have in Boulder. It's definitely what they're looking for: local food straight from the farmer. Mm-hmm. So, luckily, our farmers here, if they had to just subsist on selling to food markets, it'd be very rough considering the amount of money you have to pay for the land around here these days. It's pretty expensive to be a farmer in Boulder County now. Mm-hmm. And so I think it all worked out very well. For farmers, you can be a small farmer or a larger farmer and still be able to make a living in Boulder County because of the farmers market. Mm-hmm. So you can specifically, would you restate that question?
No, that sounds good, right? That actually farming prospered, right? In Boulder County since the farmers market was established.
Sure, for vegetable farmers, produce farmers, I don't see how it would be hard to make a living for them without the farmers market.
So what do you think vendors contribute to the experience at the market?
Well, first of all, they contribute the cash for the market to run. but also, you know, what we're trying to do now, this is our latest project.
For you as Amaizing Tamale or the farmers market?
All food vendors. We're trying to incorporate more and more farmers' produce into our food that we make.
What does that mean? Give an example.
That means, like, say, my ingredients, you know, say peppers, offhand potatoes, whatever. We're looking to buy them directly from the farmers, and use, you know, like our breakfast burritos, say, contain potatoes from such and such farm and eggs from such and such farm, you know, which is a step up for the quality of our food and for the integration of farmers' produce to our customers, and just more prosperity for our farmers. And so that's we're working on that. There's you know, the supply is not always steady, you know. I'm not going to have potatoes and peppers in April, so we're working on it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great step. So then, will you tell your customers then where you source it? Or I would be interested in seeing and each vendor saying, "Oh, I got it from such and such."
Yes, we were encouraged to display that on our menus, on our menu boards.
Oh, great! Yeah. Oh, all right, we're back interviewing Richard Convertito, and we were talking about what vendors add to the experience at the market. We're close to actually wrapping up, so usually my last question is to ask you about your fondest memory of the market. If a story comes to your mind I know they all blend together after a while, after so many years.
Especially at my age. I can't think of any specific things. Just my fondest memories are my relationships with specific farmers and specific vendors, and especially to my right-hand helper, Erin, who has been working with me for the past 14 years. And she's wonderful, and I just want to thank her, because without her, I don't know if I could have lasted doing all this.
This is also very special that, again, there are not many businesses who have the same employee for 14 years, and coming at 5:30 every Saturday morning, right?
Yes.
To help set up.
She started when she was 18 with me, so it's been great. And from that, she now has a beautiful family, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, and it's wonderful to see her and to see all the other kids, farmers' kids that are adults now. You know, it's just amazing. It's wonderful to see them growing up. And you see, that's why it is a community. You know, it is very personal in my heart. The relationships and just all the cooperation and all the growing and blossoming of all of this, the families individually and the community as a whole.
So I think on this great note, we end our conversation with Richard, and I really appreciate that you took the time today to talk with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.